Time to bring in our good friend, Mike Lowell, former World Series MVP, who knows a little thing or two about playing in the AL East. We'll get to the Red Sox in just a second, Mike, but what are you seeing right now for the New York Yankees? Of course, Sean Casey's our buddy. We hope he can turn things around as far as the hitting coach is concerned, but tough series against the Rockies. You dropped 2 of 3, and they dropped the first 2 games against the Angels. I know there's going to be wins and losses, but they're just underachieving as an offense. You really have to look hard to say which guy is producing right now with that offense. They can't get Aaron Judge back soon enough, but what are you seeing so far?
Well, I think collectively it's almost a snowball effect where one guy's not doing his job, it kind of filters over to the next guy. And I just think it shows how important Aaron Judge is to the lineup. You say one guy kind of makes another guy better. I think Aaron Judge makes the one guy in front of him and the 2 guys behind him a lot better. So this is something, I don't envy Sean Casey's position right now. It's a high-pressure situation. It's a team that's expected to do great things. So where they're standing now in the AL East, although from a wins and loss standpoint, it's not terrible, but when you're in the bottom of the barrel, you really got to turn things around. And, Josh Donaldson's banged up now. They have seems like a glaring hole at third base. So I don't know. That's one of the spots I'm looking at. Maybe they might look to do something at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I was going to say third base specifically, a position you know well, and Donaldson, even when he was there, wasn't performing well, at least offensively. Defensively, he can still pick it. So you're right. That seems to be an area the Yankees will look at. There's also talk maybe the left-handed power hitter, a guy like Cody Bellinger could be in the mix as well. What do you make of a guy like Bellinger? Of course, his dad, Clay, played for the Yankees for many years.
His dad was actually my roommate in AAA for a little while. So I have a soft spot for Cody Bellinger, that's for sure. He definitely an upgrade. You look at a guy who's a former MVP, struggled for a few years. He really looks good in a Cubs uniform right now. And to take him from there to New York, hopefully, if it does happen, hopefully it can translate, because this is a guy, not only can he play great defense in center field, he can supplant Anthony Rizzo if he needs a break at first base. He's very athletic, Gold Glove caliber guy, and the stick is playing right now. So I'm sure they're inquiring. You got to see where you can mix and match, because right now that lineup seems that it's very pitchable. If you have one guy going good, the 2 guys behind him are not. So you can pick and choose your spots, pitch around certain guys, and go after the guys that are struggling.
Boston Red Sox right now are just a game and a half out of that last wildcard spot. Alex Cora doing his Alex Cora thing, right? You look at their starting pitch, you go, okay, Bale's really stepped it up. Paxton's been a good story, but who else? Sale's been out. Klobuchar's been a real disappointment, and yet their offense can absolutely mash. And you've seen teams like that. You've been a part of teams like that in Boston where hitting is contagious. It's like the opposite of the Yankees. Nobody can hit there. With Boston, they can all hit right now. And obviously, a guy like Yoshida's been really good, Mike. I see the fact he's hitting like 316, coming over to his first year, rookie of the year. But look at guys like Jarren Duran, Tristan Casas. How about the length of this lineup?
They've done a good job of picking up guys and giving them time. I think there was a lot of hype with Yoshida. I think it was very telling that they gave Casas time. He struggled early on this season. He's looking a lot better now. And these guys, that's a talented lineup. I just think if they're going to be able to sustain this type of play, some type of rotation move has to be done for the Red Sox. I look at it in, like you mentioned, Bayo and Paxton have done a great job. Even the kind of opener and then giving Nick Pivetta, length after the, let's call it the opener, comes out of the game like he did a couple nights ago. He was fantastic. No hits, 13 punch-outs in 6 innings. It was ridiculous. But you look at the guys they've lost, and I look Tanner Houck, Sale, Kluber, Garrett Whitlock. You're saying, wow, who can we expect to help us? And I think there are too many question marks to really say, hey, we can pinpoint this guy or this guy's coming back to help us. The one guy that does seem to be coming back pretty soon is Trevor Story, which that would be a big boost. The middle infield of the Red Sox is kind of lower third in an OPS standpoint. If a guy like Trevor Story, who starts a rehab assignment this weekend, and I think it's notable he's going to be doing it at shortstop, if he can come back, provide, even more length in that lineup, a right-handed bat. They're very left-handed heavy to a certain degree. And give that, that sureness at shortstop. I think that could really bolster that whole lineup and make them a presence even more than they are now, because it seems like you're asking a lot of that starting rotation, and they might have to slug their way to a lot of victories.
100%. You're right. You forget about just how tough it's been at shortstop with Story not being there. Kike Hernandez, too many errors, too much expected of him. Yu Chang, defensively can do it, but offensively struggles. So you're right, the Story really could be impactful there. All right, San Diego Padres. We can take our pick here, Mike, of the most disappointing teams in baseball. Obviously, you'd have the Mets in that conversation, the Cardinals as well. But I still can't believe the Padres right now are 45-50. I can't see A.J. Preller selling just because they've got all these pieces, all these massive contracts, and yet you're 7.5 games out of the final wild card spot. Can they turn this around to actually make a run towards the playoffs?
Adnan, I think they can. You know, and I was trying to dive into the numbers and find out, okay, what's wrong with them? And I look at the Padres, first in National League starter ERA. Okay, so it's not the starters. Second in overall ERA. Well, that means the bullpen's probably top 5. I look at the offense, and you have all the notable names, and I'm trying to say, what is it that they're lacking? And I finally came to runners in scoring position and men on base. Last in Major League Baseball. Not last in the National League, Major League Baseball. So they're getting the guys on. They're just not executing getting the guys in. So for me, that's something that kind of comes in waves. So if there's a team where you look at the talent pool in that roster, you look at the lineup, what they bring in, day out, I do believe they can turn it around, and they can go on that 12-3, 15-game run and really spin this thing around pretty quick because the pitching keeps them in the game. They just got to get the guys in. There are too many household names on that roster not to be able to turn this around.
As a guy who could drive in a lot of runs and do it with abandon, what's the key with that? What happens when you look at your team and go, we have the talent, we just runners in scoring position, we're lousy, quite simply?
Yeah, I think sometimes you got to give a little to get a little. It can't be the 3 A swings all the time. I think you got to get to a point where small ball, has to start playing because the games now, they just mean too much. You don't have 100 left to be able to kind of, right the ship if you're skewing one way or the other. So I think sometimes 2 strikes, runner on third, those situations, less than 2 outs, runner on third, maybe we shorten up our swing. Maybe we have to sweat the strikeout a little bit. It can't be that I'm just getting mine and over the body of work over 6 months, hey, my numbers were pretty good. I think there is something to be said for guys that have a nose for an RBI, kind of a Nolan Arenado type guy where you say, well, why does he drive in 130 every year? You see the sac flies. You see sometimes shortening up the swing. I think if they collectively do that, you can do that for a stretch of 3-4 days. It turns into a week, 2 weeks. Before you know it, you might be knocking on the door and you're 3 games out, and a good weekend could change things pretty quickly.
Yeah, I still can't believe they're not going to be there when it's all said and done. But you're right, 5 games under 500, it's concerning right now. All right, lastly, let's talk a little bit about Shohei Ohtani and what a story he's been.
We don't talk about him enough.
It's called, you got to do it, right? It's network mandated. Every 10 minutes, you have to mention Ohtani.
That's right.
Dan Plesac said to me yesterday, he goes, of all the stats, what impresses me the most is the fact that it's 306. And I was like, okay. And he goes, because, there's much less of a premium now in guys hitting for average. Normally you'd expect a guy on pace to hit 60 home runs is hitting 240. And you go, well, it's no big deal. But he still hits, Mike, over 300 and still has all this power. And in addition to that, could strike out 250 guys this year. What impresses you most?
D, all of the above. I look at what he does, and if you try to nitpick one thing, you're like, well, man, he doesn't run the base. No, he runs the bases well. So he hits. He's a force on the mound. What's most impressive to me is kind of the attention and the media, because he has to be hammered on the American side and on the Japanese side, and you see him, he does it with a smile on his face and still produces. I mean, there has to be so many distractions pulling him in so many different directions. He's handled that with complete professionalism. And then you see the numbers where you're right, Adnan. Most guys, if they hit home runs, maybe they don't have the average, but it's day in, day out. It's the quality at bat every day that I think impresses me about him the most. And I think going down the stretch, when you play the Angels, if they're not in it, they're going to pinpoint that one guy. And I don't know how much he's going to get pitched to come September if they're playing teams that are in the playoff hunt. And I think that might be the only thing that kind of holds him off from, chasing that 60 home run. I just don't know if he's going to get the opportunities, because unless Mike Trout comes back, I'm not slighting Mickey Moniak because he's having a tremendous year, but who do you rather face? Ohtani or basically anyone but Trout after that? So I think they're going to start pitching to him very carefully. But, I mean, what he brings to the table, on both sides, on the mound, at the plate, I think, the Brinks truck is going to be ginormous that he has to back up coming this offseason.
You see Mike Lowell as a player, as a broadcaster. Now we're going to pretend Mike's the GM. Do you trade Ohtani or not?
That's not my money. Say it again. What'd you say? Would I trade him?
Yeah, would you trade him if you're the Angels?
No,
you get something for nothing.
You can't trade him. You can't trade him because you have 2 generational talents. People go there to see Ohtani and they go there to see Mike Trout. If you don't win, I think it speaks more of the organization not having the right roster construction than Ohtani. If you get rid of him, what message are you sending to the fans? I think you do save face keeping him, giving him a competitive offer, and if he decides to go somewhere else, well, he earned that right. I just don't think you can give up on a talent like that right now.